Hey guys, Crystal Thompson here. I have a 4 cards 1 kit series using the Simon Says Stamp July 2018 kit. I wanted to create a set of cards made with basic supplies. To begin, I'm going to make a card using repetitive stamping. We're going to be using Simon Says Stamp black ink onto the center of our card base, and then doing the repetitive stamping of the watermelons around the card. Once we're done with the stamping, we're going to be using BG13 Copic color and doing some highlighting on the outer part of each watermelon. Once the highlighting is done, we're going to move on to color the inside of the watermelon using R46 for the darkest shade of red and R16 for the lightest shade of red. I like to use limited supplies, so I'm only using these 2 Copic markers and doing a kissing technique to create a medium shade. Don't worry about coloring over the seeds, as we're going to be using some white Nuvo drops to have those brighten up again. Once we're colored all of our watermelons, we're going to move on to doing the actual watermelon rind using YG13 for our lightest shade and YG17 for the darkest. The darkest going on the edges of the rind and the YG13 for the center. I'm going to touch up every little edge just to give it a little more highlighting, and we're going to move on to creating the centerpiece of this card. Stamping the watermelon from the stamp set again, coloring it in R14, coming in with our R46 darkest color, and then kissing technique to create that medium shade. Then we're going to color the rind of the watermelon with the same colors we used on the card. We're going to hand cut this. And around the edges using a black marker to create the edging. With foam adhesive, we're going to place this on our card. Then with the white Nuvo drops that I mentioned, we are going to go over the seeds that we had colored. To finish up, we'll be using clear Nuvo drops and just completely shading that one watermelon slice. When it dries, it's going to be nice and glossy. Continuing on, we're going to make a card using the fish from the July kit and a couple of Copic markers. I have preset my stamp set onto my Misty, and be using Coral Berry from Altenew. Gonna run that twice, and then using the Simon Says Stamp clear embossing ink. We're gonna do it once, and then using clear embossing powder, we're gonna heat set that so it looks like pink embossing powder. Next, we're gonna stamp the fish from the July kit stamp set 3 times. The first one, we're gonna color in the shades of yellow using Y17 for our darkest and Y12 for our lightest. For our second fish, we're going to be using shades of pink, using RV17 for our darkest color and RV10 for our lightest, and doing a kissing technique to create the medium shade. I'm going to finish the highlighting on this and move on to the blue fish, using B37 as our darkest and B21 as our lightest, and again kissing technique between these two to create that medium shade. Once the fish are colored, we're going to go ahead and hand cut the 3 fish, leaving a slight white edge. Now we're going to move on to our center strip. Cutting a strip of the Nina that matches the same cardstock as our card base, we're going to stamp the bubbles and the starfish in sand dunes, also from Altenew, and just adding lots of bubbles. We're going to place this using foam adhesive onto the card base that we had heat embossed with the Fishing You a Happy Birthday, placing that on the top, and then using some glitter Nuvo drops, we're going to place them onto the scales, and then using Studio Cadia Nuvo's Chunky Glitter, we're going to dip this into the glitter. And it creates a really pretty and fun scales. We're going to place the fish using foam adhesive drops onto the card. And it's just so happy. Again, using clear Nuvo drops, we're going to make a couple of drops onto the bubble stamped panel, and adding the sequins that come in the kit. We're just going to drop those, sprinkle them over. We're going to shake the excess off, and our card is ready to go. Continuing on with our fun summer card set, we are going to use some Gansai watercolors, more Copics, white cardstock, and our Simon Says ink stamp. We have pre-cut the Nina cardstock. We're going to stamp the You Are One Cool Pineapple in black and stamp the pineapple on the side. Using the Gansai Tambi and a round 10 brush, we are going to dab several shades of green and yellow onto a piece of cardstock. We're going to set aside and let to dry and move on to color the pineapple. For the crown, we are using 3 shades of green, and then we're going to move on to coloring the actual pineapple. Once that's done coloring, we're going to go ahead and hand cut around the pineapple, trying to leave no white spaces on this. Once the pineapple has been completed, we're going to begin by layering our cardstock. We're going to layer a piece of white Nina on top of the card base, and then layering our watercolor panel on top of those 2 white matte. Using foam adhesive, we're going to place it behind the pineapple and place the pineapple over the watercolor panel. Moving on, we're going to be doing our last card using a watermelon distress oxide card and using the stickers from the kit. We're going to begin by stamping the You're One in a Melon into the Simon Says clear embossing ink, and then putting some white embossing powder onto our fresh ink. We're going to heat set this and move on to using distress oxides. Using worn lipstick onto the center of the embossing, moving up towards the edge of that cardstock. This is going to be the meat per se of the watermelon. Then using cracked pistachio, we're going to be careful to just shade the bottom of that pink and not blending too much in to the top. And then with Lucky Clover, this is going to be the edge of the rind. I'm going to clean off the You're in a Melon. Next, using some of the cardstock in the kit, we're going to matte over white and then white over the pink. Using some foam, we're going to place the watermelon distress oxide panel onto the center of that. We're going to embellish this with the stickers included in the kit. You can put the stickers onto some white cardstock. I am simply placing these with some foam adhesive onto the card. And that does it for a very summery card. I hope you've enjoyed this quick 4 cards 1 kit series using very basic supplies that are already in your stash. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much. Have an awesome day.